Story 1. So way back when I was a teenager, maybe 13 or 14, I had my own bedroom at my parents' house. Considering I had 3 brothers and my room was fairly large, none of them wanted to share with me. I wasn't complaining. I enjoyed the peace and quiet, had my own room how I liked it, my own television and privacy. Every night was a weird night though. I always caught something in the corner of my eye, always by the computer table underneath my bedroom window. It was almost like something or someone was popping up and ducking back down again. The table was flush against the wall, so I always shrugged it off as a shadow from the streetlight just against the window, or someone walking past my bedroom door. This happened every night, and I never really thought of it as paranormal. Fast forward to this week, almost 12 to 13 years later, and me and my brothers were all catching up at my mother's house, and we all stumbled on the conversation of how no one would share a room with me. They all said my room was creepy as hell, and they never wanted to sleep in there. All 3 of them told me how they had all seen something in there, and it made me remember a shadow behind the table. My mum was in her armchair listening to us, not believing any of us and laughing it off. She suggested we all write on a piece of paper what we thought we had seen in my bedroom, and if we all had different answers, then it was BS. We all agreed and wrote down our answers and handed them to our mum. After reading them, she just carried on laughing, calling BS, saying we planned this, and there was no way. How could you all write pop-up shadow? Needless to say, my brothers were all freaked out. Not having ever discussed what we had seen with each other before in case we got laughed at or mocked. Every single one of us had had the same experience, in the same corner of my room. The pop-up shadow figure. We had all seen it growing up. We all agreed it was child-sized. No real distinguishable features, just a head and shoulders popping up from behind the table and ducking back down again. I'm glad my mum doesn't live there anymore, as I don't think any of us would be brave enough to go upstairs on our own. Story 2. I work at a local university med school in their family med clinic as a back office tech nurse. I've been there for 4 months now, and recently had an experience that damn near scared the scrubs off me. I had stayed late, as I work with the department chair MD, and he has a ton of orders, labs, patient paperwork that comes through on a daily basis, and it can easily get backed up. I was the last person in this huge old building as the last remaining resident MD came to bid me goodnight and let me know they were leaving. I was sitting in my office and saw an older man in a white lab coat with white hair and a moustache walk by my window and down the nurses' hall. The building was slightly dark, as most of the lights were turned off in the front area, but it was obviously a physician. I thought it was the department chair MD, and thinking maybe he needed something from me or a patient, I got up and followed down the hallway. As I scurried to catch up to him, he made a left turn down another hallway and ignored me calling out to him, which I found very odd. He then made a left turn into a dark exam room that had all the lights off. Thinking this strange and creepy, my heart started pounding and I stopped dead in my tracks, afraid to follow. After collecting myself and dropping my balls a bit, I turned on my iPhone light and went to the exam room, turned on the lights, and found it to be totally cleaned and empty. In fact, the entire building was empty. I was so freaked out that I ran. Yes, I literally ran back to my office, and without even turning off my laptop or lights, I grabbed my things and hightailed it out of there. The next day, I was trying to explain what happened to one of the other faculty MDs without sounding totally nuts, and I came to find out that one of the original faculty precepting physicians had donated a great deal of his time and money to the university's medical school had recently passed away. And not only was he a regular in those clinic hallways for decades, but the room that I said I followed him into was in fact one of his favourite exam rooms to use when seeing patients in the community outreach clinic. I will never forget the look on both our faces after exchanging my experience and his notes. Both of us looked a little worse for wear the rest of the day, and neither of us have spoken a word of it to any other staff. Story 3. Hey guys, here's a story which I save for special occasions or people who are open-minded towards these types of encounters. My whole life I've experienced paranormal activity. More than I'd like to admit, to be honest. One night I got brave and decided to explore a hermitage in my city which was apparently haunted. Sulphur Springs, as we call it, has some of the nicest roads to drive on in here in Hamilton. Curves, twists, uphill and downhill sections testing every capability of your car. During the night, however, your spirituality is what is tested. There is a well-known history behind the hermitage involving centuries' worth of fables, summed up to be the ghosts of lovers past, lingering around here and there. Me, being the curious personality, decided to test my luck at around 2 to 3 in the morning. Horrible. Tears in my eyes level mistake. As I rolled up to the hermitage, I parked my car by the entrance gate and then looked out at my phone to check the battery. 4% remaining. Sitting there, realizing that there is no chance to be out there and have a reliable light source, is when it happened. I caught something at the top of my vision in the rearview mirror. I looked up and couldn't believe my eyes. I see the outline of the head as well as the shoulders of a male-looking figure casted out from puny individual white lights. I look away in instinct, then look again. To my horror, he's still there. That's where this went from a hobby to a life-threatening situation. I swiped my eyes back to verify what I had seen wasn't my mind playing tricks on me. It wasn't. In a heartbeat, I started my car up again and bolted out of the forest. Weaving through the wonderful roads, all I can think about is the horrifying answer to the question which I didn't actually want answered. They're real, and they're out there. As I'm speeding through the valley, I think to myself, this is irrational. I need to slow down. And before I can finish the sentence in my head, I find myself slamming the brakes. A deer hopped out into the middle of the road as I was flying down one of the hills. Due to my hyper-awareness at this point, I had avoided killing the deer without a hitch. Needless to say, this was the first time I had encountered a wild animal crossing the road out there in all the 6 years which I had been there. After the avoidance, I was dumbfounded. When I escaped the forest, I had to pull over and make sense of this new reality. I went searching for ghosts, and sadly found what I had been looking for. My friends always tell me that I'm nuts, and these things don't go on, but fail to join me in my attempts to refute the paranormal. I probably stood outside of my car for 10 minutes after the incident, trying to hold back tears. I went back months later at night with a friend, and a cop happened to be scouting the area. When he asked what we were doing there, I answered him truthfully because there was no other option. "Officer, I saw a ghost here, and I heard this is a hotspot for this kind of activity." He looks at me with a serious face. "Oh yeah, this place is haunted. You won't catch me dead hiking in this area." Scary. Thought you guys would enjoy this, especially considering that it's a real story. Cheers, and keep an eye out for what you can't see, but can sense. Our existence isn't what we make it out to be. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy listening to my narration. This video was made possible by all those who kindly allowed me to narrate their stories. I always include links to the original stories in the video description, so if you want to find out more, please check out the original Reddit posts. This video was also made possible by you, my viewers. Without you, I wouldn't feel compelled to find these stories, narrate them, and share them with you on YouTube. I love telling stories, and I truly believe there is a great importance for storytelling in our world. It invokes the imagination and opens us up to a greater sense of empathy through shared human experiences. That is the reason I do what I do, and one day I hope to do it a lot more than I currently am able to. I have been working on my latest project, which is the podcast Deliver Us. It is available on iTunes and other podcast applications. In it, I write and narrate people's paranormal experiences, so if you enjoyed this video, you will really enjoy the podcast. I shall be releasing the first proper season this fall, and I hope one day I am able to release weekly episodes. Please follow the links in the video description to check it out. Finally, if you really do enjoy listening to me narrate, please support me by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. If you feel in any way compelled to support me further, you can do so on my Patreon page for my podcast, or by leaving me a one-time tip via my PayPal link. Thank you again for watching.